Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions. The push was everybody needs to have the American dream. Everybody needs to have the opportunity, right? Okay. So we had two options here. We had two ways we could go. The first one was we go to work, and I mean to work, okay? This is not going to be easy, right? And it's not going to be cheap, but we go to work educating people on how to buy a house. We educate them on how to prepare their credit. Talk to a millennial about FICO scores and watch them glaze over, okay?
Right.
Obviously you can tell I'm passionate about this, right? And I know you are too. I know I'm preaching to the choir. But we had two options. We had two ways we could go. This was a fork in the road back in the late 90s, early 2000s. One was we could go to work teaching them and put the knowledge in their hands that they needed to go buy a house. Or we could just relax standards. And what did we do? We took the lesser of the two, right, in terms of resistance, and we lessened standards, and we created the 2008 Great Recession.
Right. That was the goal of achieving home ownership at that time was a noble goal.
Yeah.
The means by which we got there was not.
And that's how all this has come full circle again, because now we're in a spot that's similar to that, and that's why we're writing the book, because we absolutely have to take the case. And I'm just crazy enough to think that I can do this, right? But I'm going to take the case, and this podcast is a springboard for this, okay? But we're going to take the case directly to millennials, and we're going to teach them with this book how to manage their credit, how to budget, how to save, how to buy a house, how to do it without having to come out with 20% down. Let their parents know that their parents can help. There are a lot of parents out there, Peter, that have no idea, no clue that they can actually gift part of the down payment, closing costs, reserves, all that to their kids. They don't even know they can do it.
Right.
So it's important, I feel, that we get the knowledge that I've accumulated over all these years, and the people that are helping me with this, that we get that knowledge to them.
Right. And look what you're doing when you do that.
Yeah.
If a family strategizes to help, I'm fortunate that my parents couldn't help me, but I didn't really need the help. But it was a time when, student loans weren't that big. I didn't have very many of them. I worked my way through school. A lot of things were more doable then. The cost of education wasn't as high when I was coming up as it is right now. There is a lot of challenges that really are pretty formidable, especially when you're talking about what's an entry-level house cost in San Diego County or any house on the coastal side or close to the coast of California. And then even when you come further here, our prices have gone up in the Coachella Valley because people migrate where it's less expensive, and then it brings the prices up, which has benefits, but it also has some downsides to it. Yeah. So it seems like, I think what we need to do is there's got to be a program I think there's got to be a building program to increase the housing stock, and almost like when all the GIs came back from World War II and they built Levittown, New York, or they built all these neighborhoods where there were small houses. Maybe 1,300 square feet or whatever they are, but you could live in them.
Yeah.
And we didn't think they were small. You're talking to a guy who was running around with his brothers in a 2-bedroom apartment in Yonkers, New York. Everybody, you can survive, you can live, you love your family, then you move someplace else, and you gradually
you manage.
right? And you manage.
Yeah.
Those places could be great starter or lifetime homes. And but it seems like we have to get away from what is increasingly a trend that the only way someone's going to be able to get a house is if someone wills it to them.
Yeah.
You know, we've got to make home ownership, in my opinion, um, uh, a doable option for young people. And also,
And an aspiration.
people shouldn't be afraid. In my opinion, people shouldn't be afraid of the stock market either. I mean, there's a lot of there's ups and downs, and you can get scared away from there. But over time, you know, but you do make out over time, and if you stay in, you're going to be happier than if you didn't stay in, generally speaking.
I agree with that.
You have to. It's just like, I'm going to own this house for 25 or 30 years. I'm going to own this portfolio for this amount. And you have to commit to that. And if you do that, you'll get there.
Right.
You'll get there.
Stick it out, though. You have to stick it out.
Yeah. They have to know that they can get there. And I think that we have maybe there's a crisis. Do you see that? Like just a lack of confidence?
It's, yeah. COVID didn't help.
No, it didn't.
I'm being honest. It didn't help. There were a lot of people that had under the surface, bubbling up under the surface, agoraphobia.
Yeah.
And then COVID hits. And now they've got it full-fledged, both barrels.
Right.
So it didn't help the fear factor. Right. And it feels like there are a lot of people, younger people, and older people too, but there are a lot of younger people that feel like it seems like they're waiting for the other shoe to drop. And, the thing is, if you look at history, so you brought up the stock market, look at the stock market, look at what the stock market's done over history, right?
Right.
Tony Robbins wrote a book about mastering the game, the money game, and he talks about the history, and he interviews Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio is, probably one of the most successful people on the planet. And his deal is hedge funds, right? And he's one of the most successful investors. Look at Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, I don't think has sold very many stocks. He's purchased a lot, but he hasn't sold very many.
Yeah, he basically preaches the Oracle of Omaha. He basically preaches buy, quality, hold.
Yeah.
Buy and hold. And
buy quality, but buy what you understand.
Right.
And don't get rid of it.
Right.
It's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to do its thing, right? But if you look at the trajectory, right, just the general trend curve, it's continuing to go up. So is real estate.
Right. The stock market, we had the big blip in 2008, of course. Half its value went down. But then I think it went from an overall value of total volume of 14,000 down to 7,000.
37,000 now.
Okay. It's going
37,000.
We're going up and down. We're going to go up and down, but generally it's going to go up. My view has always been companies they will run into hard times. Companies have to compete to survive. And so they're going to figure out a way, over time, they will right the wrongs that plagued them, that made their stock go down. And generally, you might have some blips. You don't want to say, oh, I'm an aggressive package of equities and I'm going to retire tomorrow and that's my portfolio. That you might want to do some different things then. But we talk people, if you look at the couple of podcasts that I've done, my baby podcasts on my YouTube channel, which is mostly practice related, I interview a couple of people from San Diego, as a matter of fact, about investing and things of that nature. And the long term. The long term is you have to have some discipline to stay in it. You're going to have some ups and downs, but if you're just keeping your money in cash and putting it in the bank, you're losing.
You're losing.
Yeah, and maybe you're losing a little bit less now. Now there's some CDs are a little bit better than they used to be. The fixed income funds are better. which is good for older people. I do believe that. But for a while they were down, like, we were single digit percentages and stuff. It was like, very low. And
well, you have to invest.
Yeah.
You can't just leave it in your savings account, right?
Nope.
You have to take a portion of that and put it somewhere. Put it in real estate, put it in the stock market, put it somewhere where it's working for you. It's like Warren Buffett always says, don't work for money, let money work for you.
Right. And you invest in yourself. You have a profession, you have a business, you have that as something that you keep your eye on that basket, and that's your cash flow. That's what you're doing. That's what you love. That's what you're committed to. That's your calling.
Right.
It was the law. For other people, we whatever it is going to be. And you have that, but you have your real estate. You have to have a house to live in. So you have that, you get that working where you're paid off, but then you have, real estate's going up. Maybe the stock market's struggling, but you have it in different places.
And it balances each other out. Yeah.
You can do that. And overall, you sit down with these millennials. Look, if you have a fund of whatever it is and you get 7% return in 10 years, you will have doubled that. If you do that again in 10 years, you will have doubled that. So think of what you could have at the end of 10 years, or in a 20-year period. But if you don't do anything,
right,
you're
going to have the same as what you have right now 20 years from now.
Right. Yeah, it's got to be talked about.
Yeah, it does.
It really does. Yeah.
And that's why we're writing the book. We're not necessarily going into stocks and that kind of thing, but we are going into real estate, and we're talking about why home ownership needs to be part of the American dream again. We are going to write a book, by the way. We're writing 3. So we're writing this one. We're starting this one. We're going to write a book for realtors on how to succeed in real estate the right way. And then, because that's my deal, right? And then we're also the third book's going to be on investing, and it's going to be about real estate investing, but it's also going to talk about stocks and that kind of thing. So we're going to interview some people that are really, really good at investing in stocks and bonds and ETFs and that kind of. One of the pioneers of the ETF funds in this country is a friend of mine from 8th grade. True story. He's been on twice now. We've done 2 podcasts with him. He is he's how do I say this? Well known on Wall Street. So he's going to be a part of that book, a big part of it. So
that's great. I want to say a couple of things about when we're talking about young people.
Yeah.
I think older people have to help younger people.
Yeah.
We have an obligation to do that. That's what we're here for. That's the stewardship. That's what, my belief system says we got to do that. We got to
pay it. You got to pay it forward. Pay it forward. Because here's the thing, in your life and in my life, there are people that are not even alive anymore that stopped at some point when they didn't have to. And they told us, you're doing it all wrong. You need to go this way, right? We need to honor that. That's what we need to do. And we need to go out and create champions that then will pay it forward when the next generations come.
But I will say this. Recently, in the area of the websites for the law firm, in the area of practice management software, which I've gotten into and going into another company now, in a lot of these different areas, I have come into contact with a lot of young people, a lot of technical young people, a lot of entrepreneurial technical young people. They have got it wired pretty good. There is a lot to be said. There's this thing between generations, and someone might say to me, okay, boomer, whatever you want to say. But I say, no, I'm with you guys. I mean, I want to know what you're doing. I want to be right with you guys. I'm whatever age I am right now. We could figure it out. I'm born in 59, but I think I'm going on 29 the whole time. I mean, that's there's a lot of hope there. There's a lot of smart young people out there. And I think that they can grab a hold of this and really go the next step and lead us into the future, especially with what's coming down the pike with AI and all this. That's going to be, people are fearing it, and there's concerns, right? I think it's going to be like the Renaissance, or it could be, if managed properly, it could improve our lives collectively like you wouldn't believe. And so we have to start also thinking, are we going to live in a country or in a state where we're always thinking the glass is half empty, or we're going to look at it as half full, and make it more full for everybody in a fair way that's not sticking it to the other person or anything like that. And I think what you're talking about doing is, a rising tide floats all. What it is, right?
It's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. And the way we approach this, because we're in leadership now, the way we approach this is going to affect the next generation and the one after that. So it's important that we, like I said, leave this place better than how we found it. Absolutely. And a big part of that is what you're talking about. We've got to get this housing thing figured out. We also have to get these millennials taught, right? Right. We just need to share. We need to talk. We need to work with them and help them.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Because I was down your way just this last weekend, and I just popped in at an open house, because I do that every once in a while, just to see what's going on.
Yeah, just for fun.
I was, because people get creative. Okay, some of the places, especially if you get more coastal, they're expensive. They're really expensive. But I was talking with a gentleman, and he said, they're easing up the restrictions on being to add additional dwelling units on properties. And that might be a way, all right, this is an expensive home. I am really going to be strapped if I have to do this. I can't. The traditional model of 25% of your income to your mortgage, or whatever it used to be, now it's maybe, I don't know, 60% of your income, or I don't know how it is for people to even make it. But if you have the ability to put something else on there, and we look, progressively at that, if the cities and the towns say we're gonna enable that a little bit, we're gonna keep a handle on a little bit, but we're gonna enable those to occur so that people can afford it. And then what else are you doing? You're solving the housing crisis. Yeah, helping solve a housing crisis, and the rental crisis, where it's too expensive for people to make it even paying rent. So we got to increase the supply. Yeah.
And you hit on something. Auxiliary dwelling units are the single fastest growing segment of building in San Diego County right now. I mean, it is just booming. Right. And the reason it's booming is because, a few years ago, San Diego City came out and said, look, we're going to loosen the restrictions. We're going to cut the red tape. We're going to make this easier for you, and you don't have to build parking.
Great.
That I have a little bit of an issue with, because I don't know if you spent any time in North Park.
Right.
Right. And tried to find okay, so here's the thing. We don't walk enough. We don't walk enough as a society.
E-bike.
In North Park, you're going to walk, because you got to park 3 blocks down the way.
Right. Yeah. There'll be a solution for that as well. Yeah. There'll be a solution for that as well. And technology is potentially going to help us. I can envision.
We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.